this video, we'll go through the new features in Layout version 1.07. The first thing I want to point out about this version is that it includes significant speed improvements when handling large files, as well as a bunch of other new features. So let's go ahead and go through them one by one. We're going to just press Resume on the dashboard. And I want to start over in the Create menu where we've added a couple of new draw features. Over under Create, if you select the new Polyline by Points option, this option has been added to allow you to very quickly create polylines between existing points just by tapping on the screen or typing in the point numbers. So if you look over here where I've got points 20 to 24 and I want to create a polyline here, I can just tap, tap, tap with my finger, 22, 23, 24, and when I'm finished I can press the layer button to change the layer. Or if I have a polyline that I want to close, we've got a close polyline option. Or in this case, I'm just going to hit Create to create the polyline. If you prefer not to tap on the screen, you can also just type in the point numbers. So if I want to do point to add 25, 26, 27, 28, and press Done. You can do it that way as well. Or you can type in a point range if you have an entire range that you'd like to create a polyline. So that's Polyline by Points. Backing out of here, I want to show you another new feature that was added that allows you to quickly sketch in the field. So if you go, let me just go ahead and delete this polyline that's already been created to make space for it. And I'll show you how this is created. Over under the Create menu, there is a new option called Draw and Measure. So the idea here is to quickly sketch with your finger in the field and then use your field work, whether it's measuring or just refining the points, in order to refine the drawing into what you want it to be. So I'm just going to add an addition as an example onto this building that we already have in our drawing. And in order to do that, I'm going to start by sketching with my finger. So I'm going to tap right in the corner of this building and snap onto that existing corner. And then I'm just going to draw up with my finger until I want to make a vertex. I'll pause for a second to make a vertex and draw back down, and then I'm going to snap right into the other side of this building. Now it's pretty clear from this that I have not created a perfect sketch with my finger, but that's okay. The idea of this feature is to refine it. So I'm going to start up in the upper left hand corner and tap that vertex. And you can see from the drawing that we've got a little right angle marker in there to show me that I did draw a clean 90 degrees there. So I'm happy with this vertex. So I'm just going to press the Done button to lock that in. You'll see it turn green to me, and I've already looked at this and I like it. Now let's look at the other corner. This one I want to make into a right angle, so I'm going to press the right angle button available in the upper right here to square that out. And then I'll press Done to lock it in. So I've squared out my building now, but I'm not happy with the lengths of these with the walls. So here now I can tap on any of the line lengths. So I'll tap on this one that's about 80 feet. And I'm going to go ahead and make that 75 feet instead. And I'll press Done to lock that in, and I'll go ahead and change the parallel wall to 75 feet as well. And you'll see here, if you'll notice, that when I did this on this one, it's actually moved the wrong vertex. It moved the one that was connected to the wall rather than the one I would prefer that it had moved, which the software can't always guess what your intentions are. So there's this easy button here, Switch Anchor Point, which I'll tap on. That's just going to switch which one of these vertexes move, which anchor point moves when I make this change. So I'll press Done. And now you can see that I've made a nice addition to my building with 75-foot walls and square corners coming off the edge of my building, and I can press Done to create. Now the second way we can use this feature is if we need to combine our sketching with measurements in the field. So suppose I needed to draw a wall off the edge of this building going to some feature in the field that I need to measure with my GPS. I can start in here again. I'll just tap on the corner to lock in, and then I'm just going to draw to roughly where I think I want my wall ending to be, maybe out here. And all I need to do at this point, I can tap on my vertex, and I can measure that with my GPS. So let's get our GPS over there with the simulator. Let's get it at least kind of close to where we want to be. And maybe I want the wall to be well, it doesn't really matter. Right where I'm ending with my GPS. So I can just press the measure button. And now that vertex has jumped up to where I just measured with my GPS, so I can press Done. And I'm finished with my sketch. Press create. Yes. So this is how you use draw and measure to sketch and then refine line work in the field. It's just another drawing option to give you flexibility for however you prefer to do your drawing. Now let's leave the Create menu, and I want to talk about offsets, which is another feature that's been added into version 1.7 and is available in a few places through the software. So I want to start with the simplest, which is the context menu. In this version, if you tap a line, if you're in the main menu and you tap a line, as I've done here, you'll see that over in the context menu on the left, right underneath the info button, is the new offsets button. And I can tap that, and here I have the option to very quickly offset this line. So if I need to go 2 feet off this line, and I can choose whether I want that to be left or right. I'll just zoom in so we can see it a bit better. And all I have to do is press create to create that line work. And maybe if I want to do both of them in the same place and go 2 feet, I can go ahead and do 2 offsets or as many as I want from right here. That's how you would do that with a polyline. You can do something very similar if you tap on an existing point in the field. So let's suppose I wanted to do a 2-point offset using points 101 and 102 as my vector. I'll tap point 100, and I'll press offset. And I have a couple of offset methods here. The one that works best for GPS is the 2-point offset, so I'll leave it there. If I wanted to use distance angle, it's here as well, but let's look at 2-point. And I'm going to need to define my vector. So my vector is going to start from point 1, which is the first point I selected, and I'm going to have it be in the direction of 102, the second point that I've selected. And I can just define how far I want my offset point to be. Maybe we'll just go 2 feet again. And it's going to go ahead and create an offset point in the direction of 100 to 102, 2 feet off. And you can see here that I've chosen my direction as straight. You could also do left or right. And we can see our preview changing on the screen as we do this. I'm going to leave it at straight and go ahead and create this point. And press store to save the point. The other way that we can get into offsets is directly from the measure menu. So if I go over into measure, you'll notice that there's a new slider on the bottom of the measure for offset settings. So if I tap on that and turn it on, we jump into an offset version of measuring. So here I've got the 2-point offset we've already looked at, and I can use my GPS to measure in points 1 and 2. You'll notice there's a little measurement icon for each of those. I can also switch over into distance angle offset from here. So it's the same offsets available in a different place for convenience. This version also includes 2 new report types that should be really useful. Up in the pyramid in the upper left-hand corner, if we go to the points list, you can now tap on any point in the points list, and I'll just choose number 19 for instance. And I'll tap the info button to find out all the details of this point, and there's a new option here for report. And what this does is generate a detailed point report for this specific point. So I'll do a PDF report. I'm going to go ahead and leave the Carlson logo on there, and I'm going to include all the detailed session information and measurements and press export. And what the software has done here is create a nice PDF report for this point. So scrolling down, I can see this includes the coordinate information, the job name and time, the instrument that was used, and the coordinate system that was used. And then down low, we can see all the details of when and how that point was collected, as well as any pictures that were taken on that point. So I can share this out using the share button in the top right, or I can just save it on my device and get it later. The second report type that I want to bring to your attention in this version that's been added is under the pyramid. If you go to export, you'll notice job export type. There is a new PDF report of the entire job. So if I just tap, leave the logo on there, I'm going to tap export. And this is going to create a full job report with all the information about the job, timeline of when it was done, all the coordinates in the job, and on each of these coordinates there's a link so you can click to jump down in the document to the details. So if we go back to point 19 and tap down, we'll jump down to the details of point 19 in this report along with the photos. So all the details of the whole job is here, and again we can press the share button to share that if we want to, or back out and leave it on the device. Lastly, I want to bring up a couple of settings that have been added to this version just to bring them to your attention. If you go to the pyramid in the upper left and go to settings, We now have the option under map backgrounds, if I can find it, to change the opacity of the map. So if the map is kind of blocking out what you're trying to see, you can always turn that down to about 40% or so if you've got a map background, and that's going to make it a little bit less noticeable behind your drawing. The other thing that you can do here now is for stake points. Previously, when you stake a point, the new stored point coordinate just jumps to the next ID. And let's see if we can find that setting, which is this behavior right here, new name. But what we now allow you to do is specify a prefix or a postfix for your stake point naming. So in this case, I could set my prefix to stk underscore, and then if I stake out 0.3 and then I save the results, it'll automatically populate with stake underscore 3 for my stake point naming. So you can either do a prefix or a postfix, but it just gives you a little bit more control over your stake point naming as you do your work. So those are the major new features of version 1.07. We hope you like this version. As always, if you have any feedback or comments, please contact us at layoutbugs@carlsonsw.com. Thank you.